As an administrator, I think my role is to support staff. And when you know that there are issues with your team and that they're not as effective as they could be, you want to figure out what the challenge is and how you can help them. So I was hearing from them all of the time that they couldn't teach because all they were doing was dealing with challenging behavior. And, you know, I think that's very normal in today's society. And so I didn't think there was anything unusual about that in our program, but I knew that we had to do something about it. And so I was going around talking to teachers at the end of the year. And actually, one of them told me this story that was so riveting that I couldn't forget it. And she was telling me, I went there and I just said, okay, we're going to talk about the school year. And that's something we normally did. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Tell me, what are you proud of and what are you sorry about from this year? And she started crying. And she said, do you really want to know? And I could tell that she was very upset. So we went outside and went for a walk. And she just became more and more upset and almost agitated and very frustrated. And she said, you know, when I go home at night, I pull in the driveway and my hands are frozen on the steering wheel. I start crying and I completely lose control because I know that I have nothing left for my family. I've been dealing with behaviors all day long. I have given so much of myself that there just isn't anything left. And she said, you know how that feels. I feel like such a failure. And I feel like I'm not giving the children what they need. And children don't get do-overs. They don't. And if you don't capture that in those moments for those children, they've lost it. And so since I don't know how to handle their challenging behavior, I'm not effective in the classroom. And she said, when I get home, I'm so distraught, I don't have anything left for my family. So I just feel like a failure, both in my personal life and my professional life. As an administrator, that's really hard to hear from one of your staff. Excuse me. And so I knew we needed to do something. So we started looking around for models. And I was working with a behavior consultant, and we were talking about what we could do. And she said, you know, Linda, just having training isn't going to get it. It just isn't going to get it. We have to help you develop a system of support that actually is going to help not only your staff, but in return will help the children and their families. And so we started looking at things, and I read information about this positive behavior support model and the teaching pyramid, and it really captured me because that's who I am. I like being positive, and I think being positive is a better way to live your life. And so we started looking at this model, and I'm happy to say we're in our 9th year of implementation, and we adopted it program-wide the first year, which was a little crazy, but we did it. And I think the staff were really appreciative knowing that we were trying to do something, even though it's a difficult thing to make that big change. But as a result, you know, every year when I would talk to the staff, the number one thing they would talk about is challenging behavior. That's it. They didn't talk about all the positive things that the kids had done. They just talked about challenging behavior. And so for the last 4 years, when I've had meetings with staff, I've not only met with them individually, but I've brought them together. And over the last 4 years, not one time in 4 years has challenging behavior been brought up as an issue over the year, because they feel like they have the tools, they have a system, they have support, they're confident, they're competent, they can do it. You know, it works for all kids, it works for staff. The model works with families, we partner with families, it works with our special education partners, it works with mental health, it just works. And so even though it's more intensive, in the beginning, the payoffs in the end are just really great. And staff satisfaction has skyrocketed It's unbelievable. I don't have any more money to pay them, but they love their jobs. They feel good about what they're doing. Child outcomes are unbelievable. The children are learning. They're more ready for school, and that's what we're about. That's what we want to have happen. But I think even more importantly than that, we're teaching life skills. And these are skills that children and staff and their families will use the rest of their lives. They know how to solve problems. They know how to resolve conflicts. They know how to regulate themselves. They really know how to think things through and be more responsive instead of reactive. So we've developed, I believe, this model of prevention as opposed to intervention. And it just feels so good to know that you can do that. And, we used to not feel like we had the skills, and we would refer all of the children out, like to mental health experts or to special education providers. And even though we still work with them, we work with them on our team instead of just they're out there and they're the experts and we're somebody who has to bring them in and help us, with this child. So I believe that it has really strengthened our program. It's strengthened our relationship with parents. The staff is working as a team. And as a result of all our work around this, we're building a stronger community because these skills produce better citizens. And when these children go out into the world, they're going to have the skills that they need. I actually believe that if everybody adopted this model, we could reduce the crime rate in this country because people would not be so impulsive and they would understand how to regulate their actions. So, I'm a believer, as you can tell. PBS, to me, those letters are a personal belief system. I believe in the model. I believe in what we're trying to do to change the lives of children and their families. And I think that it's certainly the greatest thing that's ever happened to our program.